Let me help you. I'm going to set a deadline. Playing Princess Jane 2 rough draft has to be done by end of the year, or
Yeah, or else.
a predator drone is going to fly in.
Yeah, right?
Welcome to the Indie Author Showcase, the podcast by indie authors for indie authors. I am your host, multi-award-winning author Chad Robert Morgan, and I am with special guest, multi-award-winning author Jennifer Milne, author
Hi.
of author of Plain Princess Jane.
Yes.
So, Jennifer, tell us about yourself. Where can people find you? What are your books about?
Well, the book I have, the biggest book I have out right now, my most recent book is Plain Princess Jane. It's won a Mom's Choice Award, a Family Choice Award, Indie Brag Medallion, and obviously the Book of the Year from Indie um, Indie Author Showcase, among a couple of others. And it's just about a princess in a fairy tale kingdom who receives, like Sleeping Beauty, they receive gifts from fairies when they're born, because I remember watching Sleeping Beauty years ago and kind of laughing to my friend, like, haha, my life would be super easy too if I was given the gift of like perfect beauty and perfect song and whatever when I was born, right? And we kind of laughed about it, and then that was kind of where I got the idea from. There it just kind of grew over time in my head, like, oh, this is actually kind of a fun idea. And then I was just like, oh, what if they gave it to the cat? Because that's random and silly. And before I knew it, I had just tapped out that story, and it took a long time before I finally published it and put it out there for people to read. But and whenever anybody reads it, they seem to love it, and so I'm just trying to build on that. And if you like, obviously, if you like things like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, it's the fairy tale version of those kind of books. And it's just fun and funny, and it has a lot of heart, and it's just about girls and friendship. And I think that's really important, because sometimes we don't talk about it as much anymore. We used to talk about it more back when movies like Mean Girls were coming out, that sometimes female friendship is hard because girls like to compete socially. And so I think, boys compete on the field and girls compete in the social realm, on the social field. And so I think it's really important to um, have aspirational things in fiction and in art, just to kind of show girls what healthy friendship looks like.
I did kind of get that vibe. It was sort of like Mean Girls meets Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I read it. I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Um, I do not think this is the intended audience for the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. I mean, not the intended audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I often joke. It's like that's it's probably one of the best books that I probably will never want to read again.
Yeah.
Uh, and not,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that in a bad way. Just
No,
it's just not my
I know
flavor.
what you mean. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You're a horror guy. You're not looking for a middle grade fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of that, one of my nephews recently got married. Now has a stepdaughter that's about that age.
Oh, nice.
So I passed the book on to her. I thought she
Oh,
would
nice.
appreciate it
Yeah.
quite a bit more than I did. Although, as you mentioned, thank you for calling that out. We did give you a book of the year last
Yeah.
year. So, um, is what is the plans for uh, our poor playing Princess Jane? Because it does end kind of setting up for a sequel there.
Yeah, that's always been my intention. I have a 5 book series mapped out. And it's just a matter of finding the time to sit down and write it, you know. I'm a mom and my kids are still pretty young, and writing is a side hustle. It's not my full-time hustle. So, you know, I'm writing when I have time, and it can be hard sometimes to get into the zone in short bursts, you know, in the short bursts that I sometimes have 15 minutes here and there to try to get some words on the page. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have that's you know that can be the easy part a lot of times is the story, getting the story, the that big picture, just kind of, oh, here's what I want to happen. It's sitting down and tapping out the prose, you know, that takes the time. And then I always have in the back of my mind, I'm one of those people who gets hung up sometimes on the fact that I know as I'm writing this, it's going to change probably 20 times during the editing process. And so sometimes I am my own worst enemy because I'll get hung up when I'm writing, and I'm so busy trying to make every line perfect because I'd love to not have to go back and edit it, that sometimes I have trouble even finishing things. And so I just get stuck in this cycle when I'm writing, and it's terrible. And I really have to push myself to just finish that first draft. So,
I think everybody these days is short on time. I think everybody feels that. I know
yeah.
myself. I'm juggling between trying to write my day job and then like driving Uber 5 to 6 days a week. So,
Oh my gosh.
you know,
Yeah. 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 And that's taking up probably your evening. So,
yeah. So it's
yeah.
like yourself. I'm writing in spurts, and when I was finishing up Fear, so much personal drama was going on, and all that was just getting in the way.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to get into a groove. It's hard to get a consistent um, rhythm going in the narrative. Um,
Yeah.
what what are some of the things that you do to combat this? I mean, are you trying to like carve out certain hours in a day to try to keep a schedule, or is it just completely random, or um, anything that you're doing to kind of combat that?
For me, it's pretty much random. Unfortunately, I've never been a super organized person. I'm not good at setting my own schedule. I actually work best under like horrific deadlines. So if like I decide I want to submit to a competition, and it has to be an external deadline. I can't set my own deadlines because I know that I can just break them. So if I'm like, there have been times like when I wanted to submit like a screenplay to a contest, and it was like, it's over in 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend every moment of my free time writing this, focused on this script, and then I'll get it done. But when I don't have any kind of external deadline, I'm just, you know, I fall into laziness or letting myself get distracted with sometimes, you know, sometimes it's things you have to do, and sometimes it's just like I've been doing so much, I just want to relax rather than write. You know, writing is work. It's fun and I love it, but it's work. And anything that's work is can be hard to get yourself to do sometimes, you know.
Let me help you. I'm going to set a deadline. Playing Princess Jane 2 rough draft has to be done by end of the year,
Yeah. Or else.
a predator drone is going to fly in,
Yeah, right.
right?
Oh my
Because of
gosh.
the runner of a podcast that has a total of 3 subscribers. I have that kind of power. I can summon the predator drone.
The predator drone.
It just so you know.
Yeah.
So now you have your deadline.
Yeah.
It's not self-imposed.
Yeah.
So is it
Yeah.
BS? It doesn't matter. Just tell yourself it's not BS.
Yeah.
It could. I could be telling you the truth. You don't know.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
I mean, is it probably
Yeah.
BS? Yeah, but do you want to take that chance? Do you want to take
Yeah.
that chance?
Yeah, do I want to take that risk? Yeah, no, I mean, I mostly have it. It's actually really interesting. The plot, the story of the second book, was actually this story actually started as a screenplay. My aspirations were to be a screenwriter originally, and I still do write screenplays, and some of those have won awards, but that business is hard to break into, and it in some ways it's even harder than novel writing, because at least when you write a book, in theory, you can submit it to agents. You just send a letter, send you can do cold queries, and maybe they'll look at it, maybe they won't, but you at least have that option. But in the screenwriting world, it's all you got to know somebody for the most part to even get an agent. Like, they just won't even read your screenplays. But I digress. So Princess Jane actually started out as a script I wrote, like this idea came to me 20 years ago when I was still young, and it started as a screenplay. And so when I went to start writing it as a book, I started to realize that the story you needed to go back a little further with the story and the characters, because in the original story, it's the quest for the fairy queen. They're going to find the fairy queen, to try to deal with a gift problem. Princess Jane wants to go find the fairy queen to ask her to give her a gift to save her kingdom. And I just kind of realized that we needed to get to know the characters a little more. It was like a road trip story where she's getting to know these girls on the road trip. But I realized that it would be better to meet them first and have them kind of get to know each other a little better, and then go on this road trip story. So the second book's going to be a road trip story about going to find the fairy queen. And it's actually going to follow fairly closely what the original screenplay I wrote years ago was, with obviously quite a few updates and just improvements, because I'm a better storyteller than I was 20 years ago. So there's really no excuse for not writing it. I just need to, I have pretty much the whole plot like ironed out. I just got to sit down and do it.
Is that the next book you're working on, is Plain Princess Jane 2, or are you working on anything else?
I'm always kind of working on a lot of things. I'm a little kind of ADD. It's hard for me to focus on one thing at a time. I get those bursts of inspiration, and I'll write. That's the thing. If I get a big burst of inspiration, there have been days I've written like 5,000 words in one sitting. If I had the time and I have the juices flowing, that the creative juices flowing, then I write it. But then there's days I sit there staring at the page, and I write 3 sentences, I erase them all, and then I just print out the paper and burn it for good measure, just because I'm so mad about it. But yeah, I've been working on 2 different things in addition to Princess Jane 2. I'm working on another middle grade novel that's an adventure. It's called Frankie Barlow and the Resurrection Shroud. It's about a teenage girl in the 1950s going on kind of an Indiana Jones kind of style adventure involving the Shroud of Turin. And then I'm also working on I wrote a short story called Kitty Doolittle, Stay-at-Home Private Investigator. It's about a mom who works as a PI on the side, the way some ladies sell leggings or used to sell Tupperware. So she does PI work. And it's just kind of like Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum novels. It's kind of like comedy crime. So I'm working on that, and then I'm working on like 2 separate screenplays to try to submit to a couple of Christian screenplay competitions. So yeah, it's a wonder I don't get anything done because I'm just always working on a couple of different things. I just kind of write where ideas come to me. ideas just I'm very much an undisciplined writer. I admit that. I have no discipline in my craft. And I just get these bursts of ideas and I'm like, oh, this is great. And I'll write a bunch of scenes, write a bunch of prose, and it's just hard for me sometimes. Once that nuclear bomb of idea comes and it explodes and dissipates, then I've just got a barren wasteland after the fact. So, um,
Are you using your kids as beta readers, or are they like, Mom, I don't read this again?
well, my daughter is 17, and my boys are younger than her. And my boys, I tried reading Princess Jane with my son who's 12, and he was just kind of like, it's kind of a girl's book, Mom. Like he just wasn't super into it because he wants some action adventure, and it's a little more about the social stuff the girls are doing. So I get it. I wasn't like insulted. It was fine. And my daughter's kind of into anime. So no, no, I don't. To answer the question, I don't really use my kids as beta readers. My husband read it, and he's really supportive, and he's actually a really good reader, and he offers a lot of helpful insights, and he did really help me fix things in Princess Jane. He helped me catch things, and he's always really believed in the book, and been really supportive of this self-publishing journey that admittedly has not gone as well as I had hoped it would, but I'm not giving up, but Princess Jane hopefully one day will have some success, and there will definitely be a story of some failure behind it. So failures and just, obstacles, however is best to phrase that. So
Sounds like you're finding out the same thing I am. Is that awards and accolades do not equate to book sales.
yeah, they don't mean much, and I mean, I kind of knew that. Part of the reason though that I personally went for things like the Mom's Choice Award and the Family Choice Award is that I know as an indie author with children's books, I can understand. I mean, I'm a parent myself. I understand that you don't know if you can trust an author, you know. You don't know if you can trust what they've written with your kids, and most parents don't have the time or the energy to read every book that they put in front of they let their kids read. So I thought, I'll go for the Mom's Choice Award, Family Choice Award, because that might lend some legitimacy or help with like trusting my brand, so to speak, that I'm family friendly. I'm a Mom's Choice Award. So I don't regret getting those things, but yeah, unless you know how to market, and obviously have the money to spend on the marketing, in and of themselves, they don't do anything unless you know how to leverage them. They're just another tool in the toolbox of the indie self-publishing indie journey.
I appreciate what you were saying about making sure that parents knew what they're getting into with your book.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, Plain Princess Jane was very PG.
Mm-hmm.
Or in fact, I would even say it was very G, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually do that in my conventions because a lot of the customers come up and they're not buying for themselves; they're trying to get their kids to read,
Oh yeah.
and they're like, "What's the age group? What is this like?" And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they're not buying something for their 8-year-old that's going to
Right.
have a bunch of eviscerated guts and decapitated
Yeah.
heads.
Scary stuff. Yeah.
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 Well, not even the scary stuff. There's
Yeah.
way other stuff in the books that they should not be
Yeah.
reading.
Gore
Um,
or whatever. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just so yeah, I always go through the spiel. I have one version that I did write for a younger audience. So I have
Mm.
the short bites, which is kind of 12 and up, kind of age
Oh,
range,
okay. Yeah, that's cool.
and
Like
the
YA kind of.
exactly, it's meant as
Yeah, young
YA,
adult. Yeah.
and the tagline is all the scare, half the gore, none of the adult situations, if you know what I mean.
That's a good tagline.
You know, but they'll come up and I'll say, yeah, this is like PG, this is PG
Hmm.
13, this is R, this is oh my god,
Yeah.
you're hurting me. You know, that kind of make
Yeah.
sure that people
Yeah.
know, because you do want to establish that trust with your reader
Hmm.
base. Um, and if you say, for example, you do write something that's more adult, you want your reader base to
Hmm.
know this is different. This is not the
To
same
understand.
thing.
Yeah. Well, there was a time that authors would release under, a totally like a pseudonym to do, or what did it used to be called? I'm brain farting, but
Yeah, it's
under
pen name,
a pen
pseudonym.
name
Yeah,
for pen names for different books. I know, like, I'm a big Princess Diaries Meg Cabot fan. And I loved that book back when the movie came out and stuff. And then I bought her book and I was like, oh my gosh, I love the book even more than the movie. And I remember when she started releasing adult novels, she used, it was still her name, but it was like her full name versus the shorter version of her name kind of thing. So yeah, you gotta make that clear. Although I feel like they don't worry about that as much anymore. I've seen a lot of authors who just release everything under the same name now. They just, I guess in the marketing, they just kind of make it clear this is one of my adult books and this is one of my YAs.
well, J.K.
So
Rowling actually does that because she
yeah,
writes the Corman Strike series under a completely different name.
yeah. I almost said Richard Bachman, but that was
That's
Stephen King.
King. Yeah, that's Stephen
Yeah, that
King.
was King. No, hers is, oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah,
Uh,
she
Robert
released, well,
Galbraith or something like that.
Galbraith, yeah.
Yeah,
Or is that, yeah,
something like that.
she released that. I remember that was a whole thing though, because she like released that secretly. And then somebody had at the time had developed, I remember some guy developed some kind of like algorithm that read stuff and could figure out authors. And then he was like, this says it's JK Rowling. And then he like publicized it and then it came out and it was a whole thing. And I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe that was all just theater, but it was fun theater, even if it was. And if it was real, it was fun still too. So but I remember that, yeah.
So, what conventions or what other events are you doing to get your book out there? I know we met at WonderCon a couple of years ago.
We did, yes. I haven't done anything since then because, well, I had a different cover initially. I had used, there's a whole story behind it. I'd worked with someone, to do a rollout of Princess Jane, and we used AI to make the original art. And I was never comfortable with it, but there was pressure with this timeline, and I should have put my foot down, but I didn't. And so we did the AI art, and I was never super happy with it. And so when things just weren't happening, and people, we were running ads and people weren't buying the book in spite of the ads and in spite of these cool trailers I had made and stuff. I said, okay, I decided to stop the path that I was on, and I took everything over myself, and I said, the first thing I want to do is I want to redo the art and I want to hire an illustrator like I originally wanted to do. So I found a wonderful illustrator, just on Instagram. I just went on Instagram and I looked up, I forget what hashtag I looked up, but I just looked up a hashtag for like children's illustrations or book illustrations or something. And I just kind of scrolled through and I happened upon her painting of a cat. She had drawn this just gorgeous cat that had these eyes that just looked so alive. And I was like, oh man, this girl's amazing. So I just DM'd her and no, I didn't DM her. I found her email. I went to her website and I found her email, and I just emailed her, and she had time and was interested in doing the art, and I ended up having her do the cover. I had her do some interior illustrations, and I just love the art she created for me, or I love the art she drew for Princess Jane. I'm just so happy with it now. The colors, the life that's in the drawings now and the characters is just fantastic. And uh so I need to do a full relaunch. I obviously you can get the new version online now. I have I've gotten rid of all the old art copies now, and you can get it on Amazon with the new cover. But I need to get some new marketing materials, and then I'm just going to kind of start at local farmers markets in my area and see how that goes, and then just go from there, because I know I do need to get out there and do some hustling and just meeting people, and now would be a good time to do it, middle of summer. There's families that go to things like that, and so it would be a good time to get the book out in front of, moms walking around with their kids. So that's the plan. I just need to get some new materials, because all the stuff I had at the event we met at had the old art on it. So um, it's just a matter of doing that work and then getting out there. So,
There is a fantasy themed book fair at Griffith Park that in October that
oh,
might be a
really?
good fit for you.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Um,
Oh,
Friend in the show, Casey Cordell was telling me about it. I still need to go and check it out in person, right? But
mhm.
it did sound more fantasy based, and I don't really do fantasy, so it didn't sound like a good fit.
Yeah.
Did sound like a fun event. Like
Oh, nice.
I'm not dissing the event. I'm just saying that it
Yeah.
um you want to match the event to
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah.
I got one in September. It's a horror themed book
Yeah.
fair. That sounds like a good
Yeah.
fit. Um,
Yeah. So this is a book fair in at Griffith?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and
If
it
I
is.
Google it, I can probably find it. Yeah.
And if not, I'll try to see if I can find it and send it to you through IG or
Yeah,
something like
that'd be
that.
awesome.
There's also coming up in November, I believe it's the OC Book Fair, which is
Oh,
I
okay.
think this is their fourth year doing it, and they just had
Oh, cool.
it just had a big one like either last week or it's next week or something like that down in San Diego.
Yeah, I feel like I always miss stuff. I've really got to figure out this. Like, I know Eventbrite is that what it's called? Eventbrite. You can find
Hmm.
stuff, and I know there's a few different places you can find stuff that's going on, because I feel like I always will see, oh, this just happened, and it's like, oh, I should have done that. And it's like, well, it's good to know for next year, and then of course I forget. So
That's why you follow the podcast because I let you know.
yeah.
I feel
Yeah. Yeah,
I try to bring it up as often as possible, even ones that don't fit me, just because there might be other authors
yeah.
out there, and I want to make sure that everybody's represented as best I can. In fact,
Find stuff. I'll
yeah,
look that up. The OC, the Orange County. There's a book fair coming up. I'll see what I can find.
yeah, OC Book Fair, and then the one at Griffith.
And
So,
Griffith. Yeah, I'll just jot that down. Book
so
fair.
funny you're talking about your book and using AI because that's
Mhm.
been a bit of a controversy with.
So contentious.
Uh,
Yeah.
I know. For my last or for my upcoming book, I
Hmm.
mocked it up in AI, and it actually came out pretty good. And so they're sort of like debating, well, do we actually just use that, or it? The intention was it was supposed to be like a proof of concept, and then I would hand it
Yeah.
off to somebody. But the
Yeah.
proof of concept looks pretty damn good, and so it's like
Yeah.
part of me wants to use it and just call it done, but another part of me is like I just feel like I'm just going to get raked over the coals. It doesn't matter how
Yeah.
good the cover is.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. If I had been when I was at WonderCon a couple years ago, I think if that would have been what? Was that in 25 or was that 24? I don't remember. But if it was a couple years ago and AI was still, it's like people weren't I mean, it's been contentious from the get-go within the artistic community, but I feel like if I showed up at something with that art now, I'd probably get so dragged. Just I'd have probably had people yelling at me at my booth. You know what I mean?
Um,
Um,
so to be clear, though, you were just using AI for the cover, not in any of the writing.
Oh no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I would never let AI touch my writing, and I I the only thing I ever use AI for is like, Google on crack. Because that's what it really is in a lot of ways, It's like and some of the answers you get are like a crackhead would give you because they make no sense. So it's like, like AI so often will give you just like totally made up nonsense when you ask it questions, but um, yeah, no, but I understand that uh when people look at a book and they see an AI cover, because to be honest with you, I think that like, can I really trust that this person didn't also use AI to write the book? And I don't want to read AI, and I don't even, to be honest with you, oh, this is one of my most controversial opinions. It makes people it gets me. Have you ever seen that meme of Flynn Rider from Rapunzel with all the knives at his throat, and they post it online once in a while and say, "What's your opinion that would get you in this position?" And it's like, my opinion about that is that I don't like ghost written books. I don't like ghosts. I'm not a fan of ghostwriting. I, as a reader, feel like I've been tricked if I've been told somebody wrote a book and they didn't, because it was ghostwritten. Because if it was a ghostwritten book, you didn't write it. So I and the reality with AI is, from the ethical perspective, if your problem with AI, someone with an AI book, is that they didn't write it, then it's inconsistent to not also have a problem with someone who's had a book ghostwritten and then slapped their name on it. It's
Hmm.
it's the same thing. So feel free to cut all that out because it's a little controversial.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think that, if you are writing the book, you are writing the book. And
Yeah.
in fact, we've covered AI on the podcast a few times.
I saw some of those videos. Yeah.
Um, the was it the American Writers Association? Uh,
Mhm.
they have guidelines of what they consider ethical use of AI.
Mhm.
Um, and short answer is anytime you copy and paste, you've violated it, right?
Mhm.
You can ask the AI for advice. It can be your beta reader, it can be your
Mhm.
editor, but it can't actually write anything for you.
Yeah.
And so I can get the swords pointed to my neck now. Um, I think that is fine as
Mhm.
long as that is part of your process and not the entire process.
Mhm.
Um, for example, I'm working on a book now. I work on it for a few hours, and then I'm like, "Hey AI, what do you think about this?"
Mhm.
And it gives me its opinion, and sometimes it's a good idea. Sometimes I think it's crap, and I move on,
Mhm.
just like I would a real person.
Yeah.
Um, I have it check it for grammar and spelling errors, but then I hand it to a human being afterwards.
Mhm.
Um, because, like you said, the AI hallucinates it, makes stuff
Yeah.
up. I don't trust it.
Yeah. I don't trust it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. The whole AI thing is funny because it reminds me of I remember Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park. He had something called the Gell-Mann effect. Have you ever heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
Basically what it was he said you would look at a newspaper, right? And he was in the entertainment business. So he'd go to the entertainment section and he'd look at the newspaper and he'd read an article about the entertainment business and be like, all of this is wrong. This is ridiculous. But then he'd turn to the news page and suddenly think that they were accurate about everything on that page. It's like there's a cognitive dissonance that happens where we think, oh, AI gave me this totally insane, like for me, I've asked it sometimes to like give me an outline of a movie that I know really well. Like go back to Mean Girls. I love that movie. And so I asked AI once to give me like a save the cat beat sheet of Mean Girls with all the plot points on it. And so it did that. And when I went through and read the beat sheet, it was not correct. Like it had all these things that happened in Mean Girls at this plot point that did not happen in the movie. And what I have found is that AI cannot accurately summarize a movie. I don't know what it is, but it will constantly just tell you something happened in a movie that did not happen, or it happened wrong, or just, but then I'll go and ask it a medical question like, why does my foot hurt, and assume that it's right. It's the Gell-Mann effect on AI. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just funny. It's funny how our relationship with the machines is just funny sometimes.
I think the most dangerous thing you have to be careful of in working with AI is that it's so sycophantic.
Mm-hmm.
It will. In fact, I was talking to a guy at Creep IE Aftermath previous week. He was head of. I'll have to look it up, but he was at the head of the chapter of this writing group representing the high desert area, and he was talking about that's something that at the writer group discusses,
Mm-hmm.
and they critique each other's work. And he was saying that he had this one writer that it just was defending her book, and they're like, no, we read it, it's got some issues, you need to deal with it. And they're like, no, I fed it through Claude and it said it was fabulous. It said it will blow sunshine up your wazoo. It will.
Oh yeah. It's yeah. I actually, like, when I use AI for things, I always tell it, just give me straight facts. I don't want your quote opinion. You know, it just, because it's weird. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. Just like I didn't like how there was a period of time, and it was kind of like a millennial. I remember it was a millennial thing, wanting brands and corporations to talk to you in a more friendly, personal way. Instead of with the previous generations, you had that certain kind of professionalism in like advertising and things like that, and the millennials kind of wanted things to be softened. And I always, like, I've never liked that. Like one way you see it is in like when I've submitted things to agents, when I've submitted cold queries to agents, and the rejection is always something like, but don't let what I'm saying bring you down, because somebody else might love it, and you just keep on doing you and writing. And it's like, ugh, could you please just say, no, thank you, I'm going to pass. Have a good day. Like, I don't need you, stranger, to give me a pat on the head and tell me that I should keep on trucking. Like, oh, I just find that so, like, it's like it makes a cringe black hole open up inside me that wants to swallow everything. It's just,
Right.
oh.
Well, I mean, nobody wants a 1-star review, right?
Yeah, no, of course not.
Nobody wants to be told your book is crap.
Yeah.
Stick to your day job, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need some hard truths. And sometimes if you've written something, you maybe need a friend to go, hey, that chapter doesn't work. Or that character is not doing what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And, you need to find somebody that you can get criticism from, criticism that you respect, criticism that is done out of a sincere desire for you to be better, as opposed to somebody who just wants to tear you down.
Yeah, somebody's being mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's that it's like the Bible says, if you speak even the truth without love, you're just a clanging cymbal. So you've got to speak things in love in order for things to reach people. You're not ever going to reach anybody. They're just going to ignore you if you're um just being cruel or what have you. But yeah, you definitely need people to be straight with you sometimes, and just be like, this isn't working, or no thank you, I'm gonna pass, and just leave it at that. Um yeah, I don't love um the the way that everybody kind of wants to have that just too personal. I miss there's like the death of professionalism. It's like I'm okay with just a polite professional conversation in certain circumstances. I don't really need the barista to be my best friend, or whatever.
I mean,
Uh,
it's kind of six of it. No,
yeah,
it's kind of a thing. Because on the one hand, you're right. You need honesty in your feedback. You need some
yeah.
professionalism in your feedback.
Mhm.
Um, but in the other end, the internet has allowed us to be so negative
Oh,
because
for sure.
we have you wouldn't walk up to somebody at a booth at a trade show and go, your
Mhm.
book sucks.
Yeah.
But you can say it online without any problem because you'll never,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Because nobody's gonna punch you. Can't get punched in the face online.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, there should be a balance there because I mean, again,
yeah.
you want honest feedback without being rude, right?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, of course.
but I hear what you're saying that we really gotta quit holding people's hands so much that
Yeah.
you can't give them honest feedback.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or like I said, in the case with like an agent, just a polite and professional, I'm passing. It's not for me.
Right.
Simple as that. It's like, okay, cool. That's fine. It's not like you're not going to be disappointed, but it's just, yeah, there's something about it's insincere. Things like that, like writing encouragement into a form rejection is insincere. It's dishonest, and it to me it just stinks of just that icky fake niceness that isn't really nice.
I forget who it was that said this. It might have been Stephen King, or maybe Stephen King was quoting somebody else. I don't remember.
Mhm.
But they were saying something about how they would pin all their rejection notices onto the wall with a nail,
Yeah.
and then it got so heavy that the whole thing fell
The
off.
wall. Yeah.
And it says, so what does that mean? It says, well, it means you need a bigger nail,
Yeah.
right? So quitting was never an option, right? Quitting was never in there.
Yeah.
Because if you ever read on writing, like King, I got all kinds of rejection letters when he was
Mhm.
starting out, right?
Yeah.
Um, but he got honest feedback. He says, this is why this isn't working, or this is how you can improve things.
Oh,
And he took that advice to heart. And like,
yeah.
if somebody hadn't told young Stephen King, this
Change.
sucks, this is
This
why
doesn't
this
work.
sucks,
Yeah.
this is how you can make it better, Stephen King probably wouldn't have been Stephen King.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is they really don't do that anymore. Well, I mean, I'm sure sometimes I think if someone has requested the full manuscript, that a lot of times they will at least tell you um why they're passing, although some don't. I mean, I had a really big agent request Princess Jane 20 years ago. And I was so excited, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." And then she emailed me and was like, "Oh, can you send me the rest of the manuscript and tweak this about it so that I can read it a little easier? I'm really enjoying it." I was so excited. And then a few days later she passed, and she didn't tell me why. And that was a circumstance where I would have liked to have just, I mean, I understand she was a big agent and she didn't have time to, hold my hand through it. But it would have been nice to have just had a sentence or two, like, why, because everybody has like a gut feeling about why they pass or don't, or whatever. And it would have been nice. I would have appreciated hearing what it was, even if it was just the vibe didn't work for me or whatever,
Yeah, it
or
could
it
have been
felt
something.
uneven.
It could have been
Yeah.
something completely unrelated. Like, she could have been really interested in it, and then like it's like, oh crap, some movie or some book came out that's like just like this,
Yeah.
and it didn't do well or something like that, and so
Yeah.
the um, there's been so many times I've seen, whether it be a movie or a video game or a book or something like that, be good and still
Mhm.
fail.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 100 different factors that go
Yeah.
into that thing, and um, any author should take heed, or take that in mind, that sometimes really good books just don't catch the public's eye for one reason or another, and sometimes they do, like 20 years later.
Yeah. Sometimes stuff just, yeah, sometimes things just work in a weird way, I mean, what I will do when I release Princess Jane 2 is, I will have a different marketing strategy. I'll try to follow some of the advice of like the different marketing, um the things that the successful people suggest you do, and just see if maybe that works better. Because I know they always say with a series, if you can get out a few books in the series, then people will buy the other books if they like it. And so I know that's how a lot of indie authors make their, actually do make good money, is that they'll have a series, and they'll put, I know there's one thing where they'll put like the first book for 99 cents or something, and then everybody pays full price for the other books. And I don't know, there's all kinds of things like that. I know that series are very good to write. So,
Well,
um,
I'm trying to work, um, for a future podcast, get together a few different authors that have had success in their marketing plans for in one
oh yeah,
variation or another. So I'm trying to get
yeah.
like a kind of a round table so we can discuss
Oh yeah.
different ideas. Uh,
Tactic stuff, techniques.
yeah, because I mean, there like you said, there are indie authors out there that are way more successful.
Oh
Um,
yeah. There's people making a lot of money, It's possible. It's very possible to do.
well, like I tell the guys over at the 7-Eleven when I buy a lotto ticket, they go, good luck, and I was like, it comes in good now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So,
Well,
uh
now that I have you thoroughly depressed, what would you give it advice for a young writer who is facing these headwinds to motivate them to keep going?
well, my advice for young writers is learn story structure. I resisted learning story structure, and not because I thought I didn't need it, but just, honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't just sit down. I even had a friend give me Robert McKee's book Story, which is a great place to start. But learn story structure. I recommend, every time I have a friend tell me, "Oh, my kid wants to be a writer," I'm like, get Robert McKee's. A lot of times I'll just buy them the books because I know people don't go to buy books, and I just give them the books to give to their kid. Robert McKee's story structure, Larry Brooks story engineering, and the Save the Cat. Blake Snyder, is that his name? Save the Cat story structure. Like, read those three books, and between those three books, you will have a great understanding of story structure. And even if you don't want to be someone who outlines your whole book before you write, like you like to just kind of sit down and let the muse carry you, the under developing that understanding of story structure is just it. it made me into a much better writer. And story structure matters. It matters so much. It's so important. And so many young writers, like I said, myself included, just don't realize how important it is. Learn story structure. That's what I would tell new or young writers. That is the best place to start, because once you understand it, you don't find yourself getting lost in the woods when you're writing anymore. It's really amazing. So
Well, I will say it definitely paid off in playing Princess Jane, because that was a rock solid book. I mean, it's what, 4 awards so far? Was that?
more than that, but yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
don't
it's
be
got
shy. How many is
oh
that one
I
ranked
mean,
up so far?
yeah, it's I'm not sure exactly how many it's won. It got like a page turner award. It got the purple dragon. It got a purple dragonfly. It got it got a Writer's Digest ebook award. Oh, it was a finalist in script to comic. That was pretty cool. The script to comic competition. I was like, that would have been very cool. I would love to do the story as a comic. I would even just have the illustrator I worked with do it. It's just, that's a lot. It's just a lot of money up front, because you got to pay her to draw the whole book. And then, but that's definitely on my list. I really want to have or do a graphic novel of Plain Princess Jane. But, obviously the second book in the series is the priority with that, with the book. So
Just to wrap it up, because I'm terrified my wife's going to come home and interrupt the podcast at any moment. It is getting a little late.
yeah.
Where
Although my
can
lighting's great now that the sun's gone down.
where can people find you? And your website. Where can they find your books? Where can they meet you in person? Anything like that.
Yeah, you can get the book on Amazon. Just Plain Princess Jane, Jennifer Milne. You can get, and I have a couple of other books on there too. They're novellas. They're shorter, and they're fun. And I also have my website, Jennifer Milne Writing. My social media is all Jennifer Milne Writing. I tried to keep the same handle to make it easy to find. And then I'm gonna try to go to either one of those. Might try to get into that OC Book Fair or Griffith Park thing if I can, or I'll be in Temecula or Murrieta at one of the farmers markets. Will probably be the first place I will go to. Yeah, either a farmers market or a street market in the Temecula Murrieta area. So because I live in the San Diego area, northern San Diego area. So
Well, Jennifer, it was great to have you on the podcast.
yeah, thank you so much. This was fun. First time I've ever done any kind of interview like this. So
And sorry it wasn't better.
oh no, it was good.
Sorry,
No, it was
sorry,
fun.
sorry. Your first time was this with my 3 subscribers, and
Oh,
and just remember, rough draft of Plain Princess Jane 2 by the end of the year, or
yeah.
Predator drone.
Or drones
Drone
on my
strike.
house.
Drone strike
drones
if we
everywhere.
don't see a rough draft by the end of the year. So you got the
Yeah.
deadline.
Yeah, I got the external deadline.
Okay.
All righty.
All right. Thank
Cool.
you, Jennifer. And
Thank you so much.
of course, and to everybody listening, keep on reading.